The story begins with a gang leader named Jing, who is going to take down the Dog of the West Gate. The Dog of the West Gate used to work under him, but recently he started to act on his own. Jing comes bursting through the door, taking down his security guards. But the guy was expecting him to come beforehand. When Jing confronts him about why he was laying his hands on his territory, the guy tells him that he was not like before. He used to be called Incheon's crazy dog, a human butcher, and a demon. But now he has gone quiet and become old. That's why the West Dog didn't want to work under someone like him. Jing has had enough and orders his men to bring him his head. But instead of attacking the West Dog, his men attack him and stab him from behind. His own men betrayed him. Jing takes down his men easily, but the guy was aware this would happen from the start, so he took measures accordingly. He had all of his gang members attack him at once, but somehow, Jing manages to survive that as well and escapes with a deep wound. He was bleeding heavily and didn't have much time left. His life starts flashing before his eyes, and he sees all the cruel things he had done for the past 20 years to become the ringleader of this gang. He tries to remember what was the turning point in his life that made him go on this path, but it didn't matter anymore as he was about to die. He regrets his life choices on his deathbed and slowly closes his eyes. When he comes to his senses, he finds himself in a strange place and wonders if he is in hell. Just then, he hears a voice asking him if he regrets his past life. Jing gets angry and yells at the person who was talking to come out. When he turns around, he sees a white light descending from above. It was an angel. The angel informs him that he deserves to go to hell for what he has done in his life. But seeing him regretting his past choices and the desire to change, the angel was interested to see what would happen if he gave him a second chance. He wanted to test if humans were capable of repenting or if they were evil and never change, just like Satan had told him. Jing asks the angel to just take him to hell, but the angel informs him that he is going to give him a second chance to live his life differently. But his soul couldn't be saved for what he had done in his past life. Jing didn't know what the angel was talking about. Suddenly, he sees a burst of light upon him, and when he opens his eyes, he finds himself in a young body. He finds his surroundings familiar and is stunned to see himself in the mirror. Just then he gets a call from the school dean who was scolding him for skipping school. It took him a few seconds, but he finally realized he was 23 years back in time. This was the time when he dropped out of high school and joined a gang. He starts crying and gives his gratitude to the angel for giving him another chance. But the angel reminds him again, no matter what he does in this life, his soul is bound to go to hell. But he didn't care about all that. He was just glad that he had another chance to correct his mistakes. He was going to live a proper life, away from all the gangster stuff. He was ready to go to his school. On his way, a guy he used to hang out with 23 years ago in his last life greets him. They both used to extort money from kids together. He was happy to see a familiar face and called him by his name, which made the guy, Kim Seok-hyun, angry as he was 2 years older than him. Jing realizes that he was the one who had introduced him to a gangster 23 years ago. This was the first mistake that he needed to fix, and it was all Kim Seok's fault. Jing looks at him with anger, which annoys Kim Seok, and as he is about to teach him a lesson, Jing grabs him by the chin and starts crushing him. Kim couldn't get himself out of his grab and wondered how he was so strong all of a sudden. The other gangster, who was he to include Jing in his gang, attacked him, but Jing blocked his attack with ease and punched him so hard that he wasn't able to get up again. Jing starts beating Kim and threatens him from showing his face to him ever again. Jing was fuming with anger as this guy made his life a hell. As he was about to hit him even more, he remembered what the angel had told him and how he had promised to live his life away from all of the gangster stuff. He leaves him with a warning and decides to enjoy his school life to the fullest. But there was another problem. The school dean suggested he drop out of the school. June didn't expect things to go this way. The dean counts all of his wrongdoings such as bullying, stealing, smoking, and all kinds of stuff. June was getting annoyed by him, but he stayed calm and thought rationally. He accepted all the things that he had done and apologized for that. He told him that he was serious this time and that he wanted to study hard. The teacher realized that even though he was talking as usual, he was much more calm than he thought he would be. He figures if someone like him could be changed under his guidance, it would be a great feat for his teaching career. So he decided to give him another chance with a warning to expel him if he committed even one misdeed. Inside the class that he was in, it was chaos. Everyone was doing their own thing, disregarding the teacher who was too scared to say anything to them. Just then, Jing enters the class and is greeted by his thug friends. He also greets the teacher, who was flustered to see him for some reason. In the past, when this teacher was new to the school, Jing and his friends bullied her on her first day of school. She was so scared that she started tearing up. She never wanted him to come back, but now that he was she was trembling in fear while the bullies made fun of her. But much to her surprise, Jung beats the two of them instead. He even apologizes for being late for the class. He sat next to a guy with glasses and rudely ordered him to share the book. The teacher was stunned and couldn't believe it was the same Jing Seok, who didn't even bother to pretend to study. She thought he was up to something. During lunchtime, his friends asked him what was wrong with his today. He clearly informed them that he was planning to be a decent student and that they needed to look out for themselves now. They also didn't understand what caused this sudden change of heart. While Jing was enjoying the drink that he had after 20 years, he was interrupted by a pretty girl. The girl told him that Yonggi was waiting for him. At first, he didn't remember who he was, but then he realized that this guy was the king of this school. The school was basically run by him. In his past life, he had a good relationship with Yonggi. Yonggi tries to butter him up, but Jing was being cold to him and told him to get to the point already. He offers him a job, but Jing immediately denies the proposal, saying he was not going to work with a druggie. It took Yonggi a second to register what he just said. Everyone else was shocked as well hearing about the drugs. Yonggi was baffled because he didn't tell anyone about the drugs, but Jing already knew that he would become a drug dealer in the future. He warned him not to ever call him again and suggested he stop doing drugs and go to a hospital. As he was leaving, one of the goons tried to attack him from behind, but he twisted his arm and asked Yonggi if he should just take him down for good. There were too many of them for him to fight alone. Even he wouldn't be able to handle all of them together. At least that's what he said. So Jing threatened to break the guy's wrist if they came closer to him. It was only pissing off Yonggi more and more. Seeing this, June tries to gaslight him into a one-on-one fight, but Yonggi was not that dumb. He was not going to risk his position over a simple argument. He knew what Jing was trying to do, so he made it look like he was letting Jing off the hook for this one time. Jing was counting on it. He was relieved that his bluff worked because he had made a promise to the dean to not cause any trouble or he would get expelled. Jing casually left after insulting the whole group, while Yonggi was now determined to take him down. During the PE class, while Jing was thinking about his future plan, he saw a girl who was so stiff that she couldn't even do a simple exercise. Jing makes fun of her in front of everyone, saying how dumb she was. Everyone started laughing at her. She felt horrible and was scared. Her face looked familiar to him, and when he saw the scar on her hand, which was given by none other than him, he realized that she was Sim Jae-hee. Around this time of year, in his previous life, there was an incident that involved her and a few guys from their school. She was always bullied, but after that incident, she couldn't take it anymore. As a result, she took her own life. Jung felt horrible. He was so happy that he got a second chance that he forgot about the most important incident which destroyed many lives, especially hers. He loathes his past self for being such a piece of garbage. He decided to correct his wrongs and apologize to her for all the terrible things that he had done to her. But she was nowhere to be found. Just then, he saw one of his friends sneaking into a deserted gym. He immediately realized what they were up to. He came bursting through the door to find out his suspicion was right. When he saw what they were doing, he started fuming with anger. He starts beating them brutally. They didn't know what was wrong with him and why he was attacking him, but he was not listening to anything they had to say and just kept beating both of them. Jae-hee couldn't stop crying while Jing couldn't stop beating them brutally. He was barely holding himself from killing them. Before he lost his mind and killed them in anger, he told them to run away and never show their faces to him. He threatened to kill them if they ever did anything to her. After they were gone, Jung wondered how the situation came to this, but he thought that he saved her and it wasn't his fault, so she should be thankful for him instead. But when he tried to help her, she started trembling with fear. The look in her eyes was the same as it was for those guys. This opened up his memory and reminded him of the terrible things that he had done to her in his previous life. We see a flashback. Their first interaction was trivial. She dropped her pencil and was blocking his way because she was so clumsy. He found it pathetic how clumsy she was, and it annoyed him. During the class, He asked his friends what was up with her and why she was always alone. It was the first time he noticed her presence even though they had been in the same class for a few years. His friends told him that she was a loner ever since junior high. No one wanted to talk to her because she looked depressing and she always brought the mood down. That's why she had no friends. Again, Jung finds her pathetic. At first, Jung was just gonna let her be, but it irritated him how dumb and annoying she was. Due to her clumsiness, they started to mess with her wherever they found her. It was just a time kill for them, and to them, there was nothing wrong with what they were doing. Laughing at her and bullying her became a norm for them. Soon, the bullying got physical. One time, they grabbed her behind the school building. She was horrified and begged them to let her go, but Jing found that irritating. This was when she got that cigarette burn on her hand which was given to her by Jing. The worst part was that he didn't even acknowledge he did something evil to her. They moved on to their next fun activity, thinking how pathetic she was, while she was laying there in pain. Now we know why the angel had told him that his soul couldn't be purifying no matter what he did in his second lifetime. He did some very horrible things, and for that, his soul deserved to go to hell. Now that he was thinking about it, he realized what a horrible person he was. In her eyes, he was no different from those guys. To her, he might be even worse than those two, because the reason she was in this situation was because of him. As he approached her, Jae-hee was terrified, but much to her surprise, he sincerely apologized to her. Never in her lifetime had she seen that coming, and she could see he was sincerely sorry. In the class, everyone was talking about what happened to the two of them. One of the thugs threatened to go to the police for what he did to him, but Jing informs him that he would be released just with a warning as he is not an adult yet. But after that, he would search for them and would end their life. On top of that, if he told the police what they tried to do with the girl, they would be in more trouble. The guy falls on his knees due to the pressure. Jing warned the whole class to not do anything stupid from now on. Jing asked the guy in glasses where Jae-hee was. He told him that she was in the nurse's office and that she wasn't looking so good. Jing was worried she might do something stupid like in his previous life. During the class, Jung starts listing all the mistakes that he needs to fix, and Jae-hee is his top priority. He somehow manages to save her life, but the major problem is her being lonely. She was always looked down upon by her peers. And the other thing that he needed to fix was his teacher. While she was teaching, everyone was doing their own thing. The class was a complete mess and the teacher was too scared to do anything. Jung blames himself for her situation. If he hadn't teased her on her first day at school, she wouldn't be scared all the time. He almost forgot about the most important person, his father, who was working even now to provide for him. After he was done with the list, the teacher asked him to meet her in the office. She had something important she wanted to talk to him about. As she started explaining why she called for him, before all that, Jing apologized to her for his past behaviors. The teacher already knew he had changed and accepted his apology. She had a favor to ask of him. He thought she would ask him to make the class quiet because everyone was scared of him, but she asked him to stop the other students from bullying Jae-hee. Earlier, Jae-hee had told her that Jing helped her. That's why she was asking him to help her. Jing was happy that she could see through him that he had changed. He agrees to help her on one condition. She started getting flustered again, thinking he would demand something perverted, but he requested her to teach him English. She was happy to teach him English after class. Jung was confused as to why she was so happy when it was for his own good. After school, while he was going back home, he saw Jae-hee waiting for someone. She was waiting for him. He asked her what was she still doing. He assured her to come to school daily without being scared. No one would dare to bully her now, and if someone did, he would take care of them personally. Jae-hee was just speechless. He took accountability for the horrible things he had done and told her that he was going to live virtuously from now on. She thanked him for helping her. Instead of cursing him, she was thanking him, which frustrated him. She should be calling him shameless and all kinds of stuff, but she was thankful. Jing couldn't believe he was bullying such kind girls like his teacher and Jae-hee in his previous life. We see that the angel who gave him a second chance was watching him. He says that even though he was trying to change, it was only a small part of his long list of mistakes. At his shabby house, Jun Seok was sitting while looking at the list he had made earlier. He was gonna work things out with the teacher and the girl, but the problem was how was he gonna earn money? Even if he learns English, no one gives the job to a high schooler. He thinks of buying the stocks because he knows how it is gonna go. That way, he could even make millions. But he somehow realizes that the spirit might intervene and throw him into hell. He didn't even have money to buy stocks in the first place. He made dinner for himself, and as he was about to eat, someone came through the door. It was none other than his father. He asked him why he was home early and if he skipped the class again. Jun Seok was speechless seeing him. In a flashback, we see Jun Seok in jail. The guard told him someone was there to meet him. He was thinking it was his boss who came there to bail him out. But when he was pushed, he saw his father there. He doesn't even talk to him and starts going back. His father tries to have a conversation with him, but he tells him to go away and not come looking for him ever again. He belittles him by saying he doesn't even have money to bail out his only son out of jail. The father fell on his knees while crying. At that time, Jun Seok thought that was the best option. He wanted his father to forget about him and live his life without worrying about him. But soon after, he got the news that his father passed away. He lived alone and ultimately passed away due to stress. The guard says he shouldn't have upset him that much. And worst of all, they found him much later because there was no one close to him. That night, Jun Seok cried the whole night while regretting causing him pain all the time. At the present, or should I say past, his father screams at him to stop him from spacing out. The father remarks how he didn't even greet him when he came back. Jun Seok told him to clean up as he had cooked some ramen for him. The father suspects he might have done something, that's why he was doing it. Jun gets mad and says he was trying to become a good son from that day onward, and that he should just clean up and eat the noodles before they get cold. The father was glad that he was finally doing something to make him proud and wondered if he had become mature. Jun Seok wipes his tears in the corner. He didn't think that his father was alive. Just a simple fact like that could make him so full. In his past life, he didn't like his father, but it was natural. After all, who would like an violent father? He thinks that was the reason his mother ran away as well. But when he got older and became twisted and went around creating messes, his father finally came to his senses and started working hard. At first, he thought his father was doing that just to get some money for his drinks, but he found out much later that he hadn't even dipped his tongue into any drink from that day forward. However, without knowing that fact, Jun Seok only became more twisted. He curses himself for not realizing it back then. Even while he was doing all sorts of bad things, his father was the one who stayed by his side till the end. Jun Seok couldn't stop it anymore and started crying at the dinner table. When his father asked him if he was crying, he simply says he just put chili in his ramen and it was damn spicy. The father scolds him and calls him an idiot for doing so. At this time, he really thanked the anger over and over again for sending him back while his father was still. In the morning, his father was getting ready to get to work even though he wasn't feeling so well and was tired. Jun Seok asked him to rest for the day and see a doctor, but he doesn't listen to him, saying nothing comes out from resting and that he was completely. Jun mustered up the courage to tell him to come back safely and not to overwork or get hurt. His father was taken aback for a moment, but he also said to him to have fun at the school. Jun Seok didn't care anymore. He was going to help his old man taste some luxury, even if he had to use some tricks, so that, even if he goes to hell, he'll be able to go in peace. On the way to school, Jun Seok nags about having to wake up at 6 am for the next 2 years. That's when he sees his senior, Kim Seok, whom he had beaten up again. The guy was on the edge seeing him and was scared that the lunatic might hit him again. Jun advised him to stop messing around and to find a new job like him. He thought he came to school pretty early, but there were already many students there. He sees the bullied girl Sim Jae-hee and wonders where should he start to fix that born wallflower. He asked the guy with glasses, Pol, to switch seats with Jae-hee. As she sits there nervously, Jun starts to analyze her to find out how to make her more popular. Step 1 of escaping from being a loner is a change of appearance. He asked her to take off her grandma's glasses and found out she wasn't bad looking. She was prettier without her glasses on. He ordered her not to wear them from now on. He also asked her to bring some money the next day. She nervously agrees to him with an expression as if he was trying to steal money from her. When he scolds her for thinking that, So says she wouldn't tell the teachers as well. Jun gives up and tells her to do whatever he says for the next few days, saying her life was about to change. While he was sleeping in the class, someone came barging in the class challenging him for a fight. He was a friend of the guy who got beat up by Jun Seok earlier. He tries to remember if he knew someone who looked like him in his past life, but he couldn't. Jun gives him a chance to go away while he is being merciful. But the guy, Jin Soo, attacked him while his guard was down. Jun received a direct punch to the face. The guy was a real real boxer who had a professional license. Jun Seok smirked, calling them kids, and ordered him to bring it on. The whole school heard about the fight and they ran to the class to see the fight. We see one girl who was surprised to hear Jun Seok's name. In the class, the boxer guy kept punching him with a barrage of punches. He wasn't giving Jun any chance to fight back. Jun was just on the defense and looking for an opening. But the guy already knew what he was thinking and baited him into an opening, thinking he'd fall for that. But Jun hits him with a kick to his leg instead. The guy calls him a coward for the low blow, to which Jun replies that they were not in the ring. The boxer guy gets angry and punches him, but this time Jun catches his punch. He remarks how his punches had become dull. He smacked him in the face. The guy realized that he was the one who got baited instead. Kenji informed him how he was just getting started. He got on top of him and started slapping him. Everyone in the class was shocked to see him like that. The guy accepts his defeat and requests him to stop hitting him. Jun thought about it really hard, but he had never seen that guy in his past life. He asks the guy if Kang Yong-gi made him do it, but the guy denies knowing anything about it. As Jun is about to hit him again, Sim Jae-hee asked him to stop hitting him. He stops and goes to the bathroom. While washing his bloody hands, he realized it was the same feeling when he was as twisted as can be in his past life. The days he hit and destroyed anything that came in his way. But when he realized it was already too late. If she hadn't stopped him, he couldn't have controlled himself like before. He still had a long way to go, but he didn't understand why Kang Yong-gi was already making a move. He thought he'd be too embarrassed to create this drama, but he couldn't do anything about it because he was already on the dean's radar. Just as he was thinking about all this, he bumped into the teacher in the hallway and tasted the heavenly vision. She immediately covers herself while Jun Seok makes an idiotic face. She accuses him of seeing everything, but he denies it. Even though he was thanking God for the view, Jun asks what were the papers about. She tells him that she prepared all that for him so that he could catch up to other students. She stayed up all night and made them for him. He decided to put all the fighting behind and just focus on his studies. The guy with glasses also helps him here and there, but soon his brain starts exploding from all the studying. Glasses guy woke him up and told him that the next class was music class and they needed to change classrooms. Jun Seok realizes how helpful and smart the guy is. He first decides to make him his shuttle, but being his friend would be more useful. In the music class, as he was about to take a nap in the back of the class, he saw two girls preventing Sim Jae-hee from sitting near them. Jun sees this and sits with her himself. She thanks him for doing that, but Jun acts as if he didn't know what he was doing. The girls start gossiping about the two of them with a look of disgust on their faces. When they get back to their class, Jun finds out Sim Jae-hee's seat was completely destroyed, and there was a message to her telling her to stop kissing his ass. Jun got furious and was about to beat up whoever did that, but Chi-hee asked him to stop, saying it was alright. It's not like it was the first time something like this happened. He becomes even more furious but listens to her anyway and works away in frustration. The glasses guy asked him if it is okay to leave her be as she looks happy when she is talking to him. Jun Seok scolds him for being too noisy, but he can't just let it go. On the way home, Jun taunts her, asking if she is satisfied after pitying herself. She apologizes to him, which makes him even more mad. He tells her to not just take all of it without saying anything. If she doesn't do anything, they'll keep bullying her. They kept bullying her because she was so easy. She calls herself an idiot for letting them do whatever they want. But she couldn't do anything because she was afraid they'd do worse things if she said no. She starts crying while thinking about it. She doesn't mind being left alone as long as she doesn't get bullied. Jun listens to her and grabs her hand to take her somewhere. He takes her to an arcade, a place where he goes to take out his anger when things don't go well in life. After he was done punching, he asked her to do it, but she said she had no idea how to do it. He starts crushing her skull for always blabbering without trying. She agreed to do it, but her stance was ass. Jun shows her how to do it and improves her stance, but due to him being too close to her head starts exploding. He advised her to think of it as someone's face that she wanted to smash. She felt stress relieved after punching. He then told her not to say stuff like what she said earlier. Even if she was being bullied, she should live as long as she wants. If she has something to say, or if she doesn't like if someone keeps hurting her, she should say it to their face and get it off her chest. He promised to protect her even if it cost him his life. If something annoys her, she just has to tell him. He was determined to help her escape from being bullied in any way possible. Going back home, he teases her, asking if she imagined his face on the punching bag. We see Yong-gi creeping on them. He remarks how he had finally found a chance to completely end him. In the class, Jae-hee was thinking about the promise he made to her. Just then someone slams on her desk. She greets him thinking it was Jun, but much to her surprise, it was Yong-gi. When she asks who he is, He tells him that he's her savior who is going to save her from Junseok. He reminds her how Junseok did terrible things to her, bullied her since first grade. The scar on her arm was also from him. She was surprised and wondered how he knew about that. He assures her that he was just here to help her. All she needed to do was to go to the teacher's office and say that Junseok had been hurting her to the extreme and even led others to bully her. And while she was at it, she should show them the scar too. They'll give him his full support from behind. He was already on the dean's radar anyway. If she just does that, it'll surely get him expelled. He also assured her that he'll make it so no one would dare to bully her ever again. But she told him how he had changed and that he was helping her escape from being bullied. He tries to manipulate her, saying she is naive. He was only doing that because if she just said one thing, he'd be expelled from the school. He was doing all that just so that he could at least graduate high school. She says to him that he might be right and that June might be taking advantage of her. But he was the first friend who promised to help her. So even if she was being led to, she wanted to trust him. Yonggi got furious and grabbed her by the collar. He threatened to make the rest of her school life a living hell. He informed her that the one who thinks has got her back has already been taken care of. We see a bunch of delinquents waiting for Junseok to show up. She starts crying while Yonggi forces her to do as he says. Just then, the class door opens, and Junseok enters the room with a menacing look on his face. He was injured and was breathing heavily. Yonggi was flabbergasted to him. Junseok looks at him and yells out his name in anger. Earlier, on the way to school, the delinquents had attacked him, but he took them down easily. He says how he had warned them not to mess with him again. His past self was taking over as the fight went on. The guy smirks, saying he was done for. He and that loner girl. Jun asked him what he is talking about. When he learned that Sim Jae-hee was also involved, he tried to get there, but one more group of delinquents come at him. He also charges at them with the intent to end them. He started taking them down one by one. One of them attacked him with a club, but the club broke instead. After seeing him at that like it was nothing, the others started to get scared and call him a monster. But one of them ordered them not to get scared and attack him. This time all of them attack him at once. But even then he took down all of them in just a few moments. When gets to the class, all injured, he sees Yonggi threatening her. He couldn't control his rage and attacks him immediately. Yongji's lackeys try to attack him, but he brutally took care of them with a single blow to each. While he was distracted by them, Yonggi attacked him and tackled him to the ground. He starts pounding on him while ordering him how he should have been in his lane. But Chi-hee comes in the way and tries to help Jun. Yonggi slapped her away, but this gave Jun enough time to launch an attack. Yonggi knew he should block the attack, but he didn't even see it coming. Just in one punch, he went flying and was knocked out. The others didn't believe that their boss was defeated by a second year. After he was done with him, he announced if anyone dared to even touch Ji-hee's hair, he'd kill him for sure. And all of those who annoy or bully her, he'd beat the crap out of them too. Just as he was screaming, the dean came to the class and saw what Jun had done. He got furious and immediately said that he was expelled from the school for good. At the teacher's office, the dean was scolding him for fighting when he had specifically told him not to. He yells at him that he was expelled for sure, and he warns Yonggi as well. But he was still laughing, even if he was a little embarrassed in front of his juniors. In the end, if Jun gets expelled from the school, that would be enough for him. Seeing him smiling, Junseok gets angry. He thinks to himself how if he gets expelled, they'd make Ji-hee's life a living hell. Since it's come to this, he thinks to himself, he should crush Yonggi as much as he can before he leaves, to the point he won't be able to lay hands on her. As he was just imagining it, Yonggi saw him making a fist and got scared. But before he could beat the crap out of him, Ji-hee stops him. She tells the dean that if Jun is gonna get expelled, she will leave too, because she was being blackmailed and he saved her from the bullies. He beat the others because she was being bullied. The dean scolds her for taking expulsion this lightly, but he also didn't know what was the right thing to do. Just then, the English teacher also comes there. She took their side and advised the dean to at least investigate before expelling him. The plan wasn't going according to Yonggi. He was confused as to why they were taking that guy's side. Just after a few moments, we see Junseok cleaning up the school bathroom as a punishment. He was furiously thinking about how the mighty Junseok had to do something like this, but he did avoid expulsion, so it wasn't all bad. He asked Jae-hee what was she still doing there. She says how he was there because of her, so she couldn't leave him alone and go home. So he asked her to come in and help him with a devilish smile on his face, but she was too scared to enter the boys' bathroom. Then in a serious tone, he asked her why she did that for him. He hears from the others that Yonggi had told her to tell the teachers how he abused her. If she had told them while they were in the teacher's office, It would have been perfect revenge on him for what he did to her. To which she replies that it's because he had promised to help her escape being bullied. June assured her that he would keep that pro. Then after a few minutes of silence, he asked her if she had brought the money. She was shocked to see where he had taken her. It was an adult entertainment district. Her mind started flooding with weird stuff. He flicks her on the head and told her to stop thinking weird craps. From the shadows, we see someone recognizing their uniform from Sampo High School and were pissed to see them in their territory. He took her to a makeup counter. They were a little surprised to see students there. Jun Seok told them to take care of her and make her harder than anyone in the class. While doing her hair, the lady keeps complimenting her. Seeing their dress, she remarks how she didn't know Sampo High School had such a kind girl. She says how she thought that school was filled with delinquents while looking at June. He told her to stop spouting nonsense and just finish the work. Just then, one of the adult workers Nuna there starts hitting on June, calling him Oppa. He remarks how he is younger than her and tells her not to call her that. But she says how she's been looking at him from earlier and how he doesn't act like someone his age. He acts like someone much older. She was spot on. She asks him if he is acting like that because he got someone pregnant. June was getting annoyed by her. Then she proceeds to ask him to leave her tacky girlfriend and come with her. But he said that the tacky girl she was talking about was gone. She was now a completely different girl. Jae-hee asked him if she looked weird, to which he replied that they needed to work on some details. Other than that, she was good to go. While they were leaving, the lady said how they looked like a married couple, a mean husband and a kind wife. As they were coming back home, June was giving her suggestions on her dress as well. Just then, the same man bumps into him and told them not to hang around there. At first, June got angry, but when he turned around, he recognized that guy. The man was Jang Swang-soo. In his past life, where he was no different than trash, that man was the first person June ever killed. Even after coming back home, he couldn't stop thinking about him. Jang Seung-soo was an important person of the Tiger Skull, the rival gang of their Sampo gang. Some pop gang wanted to get rid of Ja Seung-soo, who was always getting in the way. June was promised advancement, so he got rid of him. Seeing his appearance meant he was already taking up a position in the gang. He also realizes that they were on Tiger Skull gang's turf today, but he hadn't met Seung-soo at this stage in his past life. He wondered if it was something that the angel put in his way. He thinks he just won't contact him, that's all, and everything would be okay. And after that, he goes to sleep. At midnight, June got up to drink water when he saw someone in the kitchen. He thinks it was his father, but he was baffled when he realized it was Swang-soo. The story continues when June encounters Seung-soo in his kitchen. Seung was acting weirdly, accusing June of killing him to become a gangster. He knew about him having died once and called him a murderer. June tries to convince himself that it is just a dream and tries to wake up, but he didn't wake up. Just then, Seung transforms into a demon and attacks him while yelling he will have his revenge. June wakes up from the sleep and wonders what kind of crappy dream it was. Just then, he got a call from the English teacher, who asked him why he didn't attend school today. He looks at the clock and curses Seung for being late to the school. He runs to the school while cursing Seung the whole time. He arrives at the class and asks them if the first class is already over, but they look at him differently than usual. The bullies of the class apologize to him as well and accept their mistakes. They tell him how it was Yonggi who was forcing them to do all that. June already knew that was the case, but when he thinks about it, he realizes that he has become the strongest student in the school after defeating Yonggi. That's why everyone was looking at him weirdly. But he doesn't feel anything special. If it was his past self, he'd be showing this off all day. He smacks the both of them in the head, saying he'd be watching them all the time. And he also told them to go and apologize to Jae-hee as well. He wondered where Jae-hee was anyway. He sees the girl surrounding her, asking her about her hair and makeup and all. She was nervous. June gets annoyed at her for being nervous even after he did all that for her. But he smiled while reading that she wasn't exactly the same. Just then, the guys told him that Dean was looking for him and had called for him in the office. But it wasn't actually Dean who called him. It was just the English teacher who called him here because he was late, to ask him if everything was alright. During lunch, June thinks to himself how there were merits for being kind. Due to coming to school in a rush, he forgot his lunch. Jae-hee offers to eat together. At first, he denies it, saying he wasn't a beggar. It was until he saw what was inside the lunchbox. He acted as if he was only eating because she was insisting. Just then, a girl accuses Jae-hee of trying to get him with lunches, and also how she was doing all sorts of things to have him. She congratulates June for becoming Sampo High's strongest student and wants to have a chat with him. He still didn't know who she was. Last time, he went along because she acted as if they knew each other, but he had no idea who she was. Jae-hee calls her by name Yoonjang. This rang a bell to June, and he was surprised to know she went to the same high school. He asked her if her name is Yoonjang. She thinks he is acting as if he doesn't know her. He tells her to F off to her face, saying he isn't going to get involved with a delinquent like her. He starts minding his own business while she just stands there stunned. She gets furious and taunts him, saying he only likes someone like her who was possessed by a ghost but not her, and that he deserved only that, and hopes the two of them work this out. June didn't have a clue what nonsense she was spouting and asked her what was she talking about. She mocked him for not knowing and told him that Jaehee's mother was a shaman, and apparently she left home because she was possessed by a ghost. He didn't know about that and looked at her with a surprised look while she was trying to hold back her tears. June realizes this was the reason she didn't want to get back home early. He asked her if that was it. Yoon continues to spout on how possessed girls couldn't stand on their own, and they needed a man on their side all the time, as she was belittling him for falling for someone like her. June slaps her out of nowhere. She couldn't believe what just happened. Everyone in the lunch hall was shocked as well. He remarked how a possessed and kind ghost would be far better than someone like her. She was irredeemable. In anger, she tries to hit him back, but he grabs her hand, saying he wouldn't let himself get hit by a lowlife like her. She threatens to kill him and asks him if he even knew who she was, to which he replies that of course he knew. Her father was a gangster in the White Tiger Skull gang. She told him to get on his knees and apologize to her if he wanted to live. But June laughs at her, saying he doesn't care if her father is a gangster. He asked her if she expected him to tremble in fear like others, and that she shouldn't have messed with her. Then he goes on to announce the strongest in the Sampo. He ordered that from now on that girl was an official outcast, and if he saw anyone with her, he'd kill them himself. He assured them that they shouldn't try him as he really effing meant it. Everyone was shocked to hear that, and the one who was shocked the most was Yoonjang herself. After a few moments in the schoolyard, Jaehee said to June that he was a bit harsh on Yoonjang earlier. June calls her an idiot for worrying about people like her. Then he asks her if she was the one who bullied her in middle school as well. She asks him how he knew about that. He found out when he saw her freeze in front of Yoonjang. June remarks how she was even worse than Yonggi if you think about it. She's a delinquent who acted out with complete faith in how her father would back her up. But regardless, it was over as of today. She looks at him thinking what he meant by that. Then he proceeds to assure her, saying how his oppa will teach that delinquent a proper lesson. She laughs at him, saying he talks like a 40-year-old man. She was worried about him having to go up against Yoon's gangster father, but he told her not to worry about that. While he was leaving, she asked him if he was okay with her being a shaman's daughter while crying. He suddenly gets in front of her and reminds her what he had promised her. No matter what, he'd protect her. Whether it's a ghost or whatever else, he'll destroy everything. She believes him on that. As they were about to leave, she asked him for another favor. At the school's rooftop, Yoon orders him to apologize to her and to cancel the announcement that he made in front of the others. June couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. She threatened to call his father, and then the whole Tiger Skull gang would be onto him. All she needed to do was to just say the words and they'd invade the school. She advised him to think carefully, because even he won't be able to take on a whole gang just because he knows how to fight a little. She even threatens to take down Jaehee with him. This pissed him off and he went from laughing to being a lunatic. He dared her to try it if she thought she could, calling her the B word. Yoon was trembling and got teary-eyed, but still continued to bluff. She keeps bringing up how he won't be able to stand against a whole gang. June smirks and asks her if she thought he wouldn't know. The truth is, the father she keeps bragging about, he's no different from a member who's been kicked out. Her eyes widen with shock. Her father's been the lowest ranking in the gang for the last 20 years, has gambling debt, and is even an alcoholic. So can she expect him to be scared of someone like that, whom even the Tiger Skull gang treats as a pain in the ass? She asks him how he knew about that. He asks her if he should say all that in front of everyone. The father, who was such a cause of fear, was actually just a piece of trash about to be thrown out. She told him to shut up with a trembling voice and asked him if he was doing it because Jaehee asked him to do it. He calls her pathetic, telling her what she actually asked him to do. We see that earlier when Jaehee asked him for a favor, she requested him to forgive Yoonjang. He yelled at her, calling her stupid, saying how could she just let her be when she bullied her for years. Her logic was that Yoon must have had a similar situation to what she had with her mother. When she asks him if she has any proof, she tells him how she used to be cheerful and active in middle school, when they used to be good friends. But then she suddenly changed and started hanging out with bad people. She wanted to give Yoon another chance for her to return to her bright side and energetic self, and she wanted to become her friend again. But in the present, the The little bit of sympathy June had for Yoon was gone. Even if she forgives her, he won't forgive a person like her. He remarks how a bee like her needed to learn a lesson physically. In trembling voice, she asked him what he was trying to do. He told her that he wouldn't let her go just because she was a girl. She threatens him to not hit her, to which he replies that some like her with no backing could do nothing. As he was about to her PTSD hit her, and she saw her abusive father in him. She got on her knee while crying, saying she did the wrong thing, and said not to hit her dad. Hearing this, June came to his senses. He asked her if she grew up getting hit by his father, while she just sat there, terrified. The next day at the school, after that incident, June Seok was in a bad mood. His classmates noticed it too and were scared he might lash out at them, but he could hear them tell them to shut up. He couldn't stop thinking about her after seeing her like that. He was feeling burdened. Just then, he hears Jay and the glasses guy talking about how Yoon didn't come to school that day. He asks her if they were talking about her and tells them that she might be acting sick to skip school. But Jae-hee informed him that she had a condition ever since she was in middle school. She had anemia due to lack of hemoglobin. But June didn't believe her and said at least she wouldn't die. But she informed her that it could be bad if someone who was born with it received a shock. He asked her if she was accusing him. He acted as if he didn't care if he lived or died. But on the inside, he wondered if it was because of him. Then he remembers a flashback from his past life, where adult Yoon begged for his help while crying, saying they were still school friends. He denies how that wasn't his fault either, and also it hadn't even happened in this life yet. Just then, he hears the angel's voice, who asks him if his earnest repentance was only worth that much. He is shocked to hear its voice after all this time, and realizes he'd been watching him all this time during his second life, to check where he was repenting earnestly. But even now, he sticks to his decision, saying the angel can get effed, and that there was nothing wrong with a rude delinquent like her learning a lesson. Even though he says all that, he is already at Yoon's house. Seeing where she lived, he realized her situation was even worse than his. Just then, his drunk father comes out of the house and asks him who he is. When he asks him if it was Yoon's house, he lashes out at him saying it was his house. Then he just wandered off while drinking. When he entered the house, he found Yoon sitting in the corner while breathing heavily. She was shocked to see him there and shouted at him to get out of the house. This makes her situation even worse and she passes out immediately. He tries to get her to come back to her senses, but he realizes her situation is way more serious than he had thought. Just then, her father arrives there and yells at him for entering his house, calling him a thief. As he is spouting nonsense, June punches him in anger, but the guy was still standing and attacked him. But this time June attacked him with more power and knocked him down. He told him how he had no right to call himself a father. Her only daughter was writhing in pain, and this piece of crap was drinking and laying hands on her. He picked her up to take her to the hospital. As he was just on his way to the hospital, someone said to him how he was already cheating on her girl. This was Soon-soo, who reminded him that it wasn't the first time they were meeting. June didn't understand why the top dog of the Tiger Skull Gang was at low life of Tiger Skull Gang. This couldn't be a coincidence, he thinks to himself. Seeing the old man knocked out, Soon accuses him of barging into someone else's house and even taking away their daughter. In an angry voice, Soon asks him if he has any idea who he just punched. June called him a low-life pathetic gangster who didn't have the right to be called father. June was tense, thinking he might have to get into another fight. Soon looks at him in anger, but seeing Yoon's situation, he tells him to go. He knows he is taking her to the hospital. They'd settle the other stuff when he's back from the hospital. In the meantime, he'd take care of the old man. June agrees to that while giving him an angry look. After he was gone, Soon thought to himself that even if the old man had gotten old and weak, even then, a high schooler who could knock out an active gangster wasn't something to be ignored. He wondered who he was. He admitted her to the hospital. The nurse told him that it could have gotten way worse if he hadn't taken her there when he did. But her immune system was still very weak, so they needed to be very cautious in the future. In a flashback, we see June and other gang members partying at a club. They were celebrating because they had just taken over Tiger Skull Gang. His partner, who would eventually betray him in the future, praises him, calling him the action man of Sampo High. Just then, the adult June grabbed his hand and asked him if he remembered her and that they went to the same school. June gets angry and asks the manager about her. He informs him that she sold to them when they took over the Tiger Skull. She was one of the gangster's daughters who died before paying his debt. Yoon begs him to take her out of there and that she'll do whatever he asked her to do. But this annoyed the hell out of him and he pushed her back, saying he didn't remember a bar girl like her. He further goes on to order the manager to make her come out for work every single day, without any rest. All of the guys from their gang who come there would be served by her too. Instead of helping her, he made her already hard life a living hell. And all of that just because she annoyed him. After that day, he didn't hear about her, but there was no way she had an easy life after that day. She probably lived miserably and died while working all day long. He wondered if something like that would have happened again if he were to drop out of high school, and if she'd had to go through all those horrible situations again. The nurse asked him about her guardian and payment for the treatment, but he didn't have money. Just then, Soong came there, and he'd already paid for the treatment. Soong inquires about her situation. June asks him if her deadbeat father is still alive. Soong says that no matter how useless that old man was, he had to take care of him because he was family. June thinks back about how the guy was the best among the higher-ups of the Tiger Skull gang, but he had to take care of the lowest of the gang himself. After all of this was settled now, he asked for June's name while taking off his watch. June asks why he wanted to know his name. He hits him out of nowhere, saying he needed to make sure to teach the high schooler who arrogantly laid a hand on a gangster a lesson. June didn't see that coming and was surprised, but he doesn't retaliate, saying if it was all he cared about while giving him an angry gaze. Soong was impressed seeing him act that way even though he knew he was. He wasn't getting scared, nor was he coming at him out of rage. He was suppressing his anger instead. He started laughing, saying how he liked him and he was an interesting guy. While leaving, he asks June to look after Yoon as she is in a difficult situation right now. He calls him by his name, which catches him off guard. But then he realizes he was wearing his name tag. He thinks to himself how Seung-soo is a better guy than he'd thought, but he was still just a gangster. While coming back home, he realizes that the angel was making him meet all the people he mistreated in his past life, and was watching whether he was repenting of his sins earnestly. But he yells that he'd repent his way, using his fist and his mouth because that's all he had. He was going to hell anyway, so he'd live his life virtuously on his own. The neighbors yell at him to shut up. We see the angel, who was wearing a uniform, watching over him, saying he'd watch over him a little longer. The next day, while June was getting ready to go to school, his father said how he had pain in his shoulder. June again advised him to not go to work, but he didn't listen to him. June asked him if he should drop out of school and get a job. He wasn't that smart anyway. His father gives him a smack to the head and tells him to stop spouting nonsense. He told him to just attend school wholeheartedly and asked him if he was going around hitting others. At first June denies it, and then he remembers what he has been doing all this time and starts fumbling with his words. His father tries to interrogate him, but he runs away before that. While going to school, he wonders if Yoon is alright now. He dreams about how she is going to thank him. After all, he carries her to the hospital. When he gets to her class, he finds her devastated and asks her classmate how long she has been like that. She has been like that since she arrived at the school. He asks her if she has something to say to him, expecting some words of gratitude, but instead, she told him to get off and not to involve himself with her anymore. He is annoyed at her, but then he sees her crying and leaves, saying he should have expected that from her. She blames him for ruining his life. Before him, no one was able to lay a hand on her. On top of that, he even saw her in such a pitiful state. She was certain he'd used that weakness against her. Just then her friends greeted her, inquired about her health. She was surprised and asked them if they still gonna be her friends. They took her to the rooftop for fresh air, while someone was watching them. On the rooftop, she was relieved that everything was still the same. She plans to get her revenge on June by luring him to the people who had their eye on him. That way, she might be able to get her revenge on him. Just then, the girls give a signal to each other and lock the door. She turns to look when someone pushes her, saying his hands just slipped. They were delinquents from the other classes. She was terrified to see them and asked them what they were doing. She tried to threaten him with her dad's name, but they were not buying her bluff anymore, because she couldn't do anything when Jun Seok hid her in front of everyone. They found out that she'd been lying for years now. Now that her bluff was exposed, she wouldn't be able to do anything no matter what they did to her. She asked her friends for help, but they also changed sides after learning the truth and advised her to just pay the price of lying to them for all this time. She wasn't trying to lie. She didn't want her family life to be exposed. As they were about to lay their hands on her, she started crying loudly. They tell her that there was no use even if she screamed, as they had locked the door. But just then, the door behind them opened. They were terrified. They were sure to lock the door. It was none other than June, who was disgusted by them and was fuming with anger. The delinquent says that he was the one who decided to bully her, and that there was nothing wrong with playing with the delinquent like that. June grabbed him by the throat and said how they crawl whenever someone stronger than them appears. But now that she was easygoing, they were having their way with her. He remarks how just because he announced her to be a loner doesn't give them a reason to do whatever they want with her. He ordered them to announce it in the school that if anyone laid a hand on Yoonjang, he'd kill them himself. They ran off immediately. After they were gone, she asked him why he was doing all this, and if it was all fun for her. She told him to just go away, to which he replies that he didn't care whatever happened to someone like her. He was only doing this because Jae-hee asked him. She was surprised at her and asked why she was doing this when she even said all those things about her. June calls her pitiful and informs her when she is acting like a delinquent to cover up her family situation. She is worrying for her right from the start. Jae-hee told her that she was hard after she did all those things to her, but what hurt her more was that she wasn't able to hang out with her childhood friends, just like they did in junior high. She says how she'll be more courageous and try harder so that they can be friends like they were back then. Yoon was speechless and realized what she was doing all this time, and started crying. June was relieved because at least for now he had rectified all the faults that he could think of off the top of his head. He thought he should be able to live peacefully for the time being, but he had no idea how wrong he was and what was waiting for him. The story continues at the headquarters of the Sampo gang. We see a bunch of gangsters beating down some guy, who asks the Sampo gang's boss to forgive him. We see the boss of the Sampo gang, Jo Bong-cheol, who is angry at him for losing to the Tiger Skull gang. He ordered his men to sell his organs to compensate for the loss. The boss asks his commander, Gi-won, if there is anyone who is half as good as Seong-soo, to which Gi-won recommends Jung-seok to him. He hands him his picture while telling him about his recent achievements, how he defeated the boss of Sampo High and is taking care of all the delinquents on his own. The boss gets offended. He didn't want to take a random high schooler under his wings and ask him if he was only capable of this much. But then Gi-won informs him that Jung is someone that Jang-soo had his eye on, and how they've been in contact a few times. The boss asks him if the information is legit. Gi-won even speculates that he might be the secret successor of the Tiger Skull gang they've been training. The boss smirks and orders him to bring that guy to him. It had been 2 weeks since Jung became the strongest in the school. Since then, the school has been in peace. After the incident with Yoon Jang, he banned all kinds of bullying. Some opposed it, but he just beat them all up into submission. Not only that, Sim Jae-hee had become a lot brighter to the point she was unrecognizable, and from that day onwards, Yoon always went around with Sim Jae-hee. Even the teacher was not uncomfortable talking to him anymore. He didn't see Kang Yong-gi at all since he beat him up as well. The guys who were under him were also quiet now. But there was one problem. The guy he had beaten up earlier keeps following him and praising him all the time. Jung informed him that he had no intention of acting like a delinquent anymore. But that's what the guy liked about him. The way he just discarded his position after beating up Yong-gi was the reason he was following him. Jung was fed up with him and allowed him to do whatever he wanted, thinking he'd just get tired eventually. But he kept bothering him on the way home as well. While they were heading home, they saw 2 gangsters waiting for Jong. They wonder who they were when Kim Seok-hyun comes out saying his time was up. Just then, he gets slapped by one of the gangsters for acting like their leader. He asks Jung to accompany them as their boss is looking for him. Jung didn't understand why the Sampo gang was looking for him. This was the worst situation because all this time he was doing his best to not get involved with them. He calms himself down and thinks of taking them down then and there and be done with them. But the problem was the guy with him who was too scared to even move. But he puts aside all the critical thinking and just charges at the guy. The man laughs at him for trying to fight back when suddenly, Jung reaches out to his pocket and throws coins at the gangster to distract him. While he was distracted, Jun attacked Kim Seok all of a sudden. Now all he needed to do was to make a run for it. But the gangster threatened him to stop or he'd break all of his limbs. He had his classmate with him as a hostage. Jun didn't want to get caught by them again. Just then, his classmate yells, telling him to run and forget about him. The gangster shuts him up and asks Jung if he really plans to abandon his friend. But much to his surprise, Jung made a run for it. The gangster was angry at the students for being a nuisance to them. The student asked him who they were and what they were after. The gangster mucks him, saying he'd piss himself if he knew who they were. The student was stunned after hearing that they were from the Sampo gang, because he caused a mess, and now he had to pay for it with his limbs. Just then, we see Jung running back toward them. He kicks the gangster from the back while he is distracted. Jung told him to stop wasting time and run as soon as possible. But the guy suggests running together. Jung knew that wouldn't work and someone needed to stay back. Jung assured him that he'd definitely win as he was the strongest in Sampo High. The guy assured him that he'd come back with the cops. Jung calls him an idiot for wanting to come back. While Jung holds them off, the guy makes a run for it, determined to get the cops. Just then, he encounters someone on the way. It was the commander of the Sampo gang, Gi-won. On the other hand, Jung had managed to take down all the thugs somehow. He still didn't understand why these guys were after him. Just then he hears someone answering him, saying it was because he was not a normal high schooler. Jung sees Junsu all beaten and loses control. He charges at Gi-won in anger, but he mocks him, asking if that is all he has got. Gi-won blocked his attack and countered at the same time. Jung was shocked. In anger, Jun attacked him again, but the result was the same this time as well. Gi-won starts treating him like a kid while beating the shit out of him. Jun couldn't believe he lost so easily to him. Even in his prime time, he wasn't at that level. He didn't know where a monster like him came from. Gi-won says how without technique, it just street fights. Jung recognized the way he was talking and his mind clicked. This guy was not only the #1 in Sampo's gang, but the strongest man in all of Incheon Underground. The one who was Jung's fighting instructor in his past life, Yeom Gi-won. In a flashback, Jung remembers the first time he met the guy. It was during a gang war, on the battlefield where everyone was desperately fighting to survive. He was the only one who worked calmly. He was making it look so effortless. They all charge at him to get rid of him first, but as expected, that plan failed miserably. His movements were like flowing water, no excess actions. Seeing that man taking down a dozen men like it was nothing, Jung was in awe for the first time in his life, and that's why he requested him to teach him, even though he was just a low-ranking member. But he was getting his ass handed to him in the training. Gi-won keeps telling him not to attack up front when the enemy is stronger than him, but Jung found it to be a cowardly move. Gi-won informed him that they were gangsters. Winning was the only thing that mattered. It didn't matter if they fought fair or not. At the present, Jun was surprised to know he was already at such high rank this early. There was no chance he could beat him. No one could beat him in a one-on-one fight. Jun agrees to go with him without making a fuss, but that was just a distraction. He remembers what he had taught him in the past life and threw sand at him. While his vision was blocked, Jun tried to land a hit on him, but much to his surprise, Gi-won caught his punch, complimenting him on his strategy to block his sight. However, even that didn't work for him. Jung realized that he was done for. Simhee felt anxious and wondered if Jung was alright. When he opened his eyes, he saw the boss of the Sampo gang and Gi-won in front of him and jolted up. The boss laughs at him, asking Gi-won how badly he had beaten the guy. The boss introduces himself to him, but he already knows who he is. He realizes that if he is seeing the boss, then that means he is in the center of the Sump gang's headquarters. The boss compliments about his looks, asking that Sampo High chooses him based on his looks. Jun got up and punched him in the face, but he was just thinking about it. He remembers how he got into this situation. Ironically, all his efforts to avoid involvement with the Sampo gang led him to the very situation he sought to evade. Gi-won felt something was off, a high schooler who got dragged into a gang's base for not showing any signs of fear. Also, his words from before, to not worry about the method and just focus on winning. That's something he'd say. He wondered if Jung was really just a high schooler. Suddenly, Jung started laughing loudly. He made fun of the boss for tying him up even though he was just a high schooler, and they were also at their base. He mocks them for being scared of a high schooler. Gi-won tried to step in, but the boss laughed at him for trying to provoke him. Jun gaslights him even further into untying him, and he agrees to do so. Gi-won tried to intervene, but the boss got furious at him for denying his order. Jung plans to get out of there the first chance he gets. He thinks of taking the boss hostage to get out, but he knows that they'll find him afterward and bury him. But he was just gonna focus on what's at hand. Just then, they hear a loud noise outside. A guy comes inside to inform them about the Tiger Skull gang, but they are already inside. It was Jang Seunju himself with his goons. Gi-won and Jung both were baffled to see Seunju there. He criticizes them for kidnapping a kid. Gi-won waits for the boss's order, but much to everyone's surprise, the boss permitted them to take Jung with him. Even Seunju didn't expect this. We see that Jung has already managed to untie himself. While they were leaving, the boss said to Jung that he'd like to meet him again, but Jung had no plans to meet him. Seeing that the great Seunju personally came to get him, made the boss want him even more than ever. On the way out of there, Jung inquires how they really found him. Seunju suggests they should focus on getting out of there first, but Jung is impatient and puts his hands on top of him. One of the guys slams him against the wall for acting that way to Seunju, but Jung was still talking rudely and arrogantly. Seunju stops both of them from going any further. He explains the situation to Jung. He told him that because Tiger Skull and Sampo gang have always been at war over the Incheon Underground for years, they'd got a report of the Sampo gang making moves. As a lieutenant, he was patrolling to keep tabs on them when he found Junsu all beaten up. Even though he was heavily injured, he was still looking for him. Jung calls him an idiot and pretends he doesn't care what happened to him. When Jung starts to work in a different direction, Sunju stops him and suggests that he should come with them to the headquarters, because Sampo gang might make their move again on him. But he refused to go to another gang's headquarters after just coming from one. He prompts how Sampo gang and Tiger Skull gang are the same as him. He also tells them to not act friendly with him from then on, as he doesn't want to get noticed by Sampo gang again. Sunju didn't stop him and let him leave. On the way home, thinking about the incident and the boss's interest in him sent chills down his spine. He doesn't know what he should do to get out of the situation and curses the angel for putting him in this situation. When his dad gets home, he sees all his belongings scattered around the house and wonders if it is a burglar. As he is about to attack the guy, he finds out it is just Jung. Jung told him to pack his things because they were leaving the city. His dad didn't understand what he was saying and saw the bruises on his face. He inquires about the bruises and where he got them from, but he didn't answer his question and lashed out at him to just pack his things, saying the Sampo gang was after them. He saw no other option but to run, even though they had nowhere to go. To calm him down, his dad hits him with the pan to put him to sleep. The next day, he wakes up to a note written by his dad. He writes that he has already let the school know that he's taking a break today. Now that his head was cooled down, he realized that his dad was right. They had nowhere to go, nor did they have money, but it was also dangerous to live there as well. As he was thinking all this, someone started banging at the door and calling out his name in a loud voice. He assumed that it must be the Sampo gang. He picked up his club and was ready to put the guy down, as he had no intention of going back to that life again. When he didn't answer the door, the guy started looking for the house keys, which surprised Jung as to how he knew where the keys were. Just as the guy opens the door, Jung swings his bat at him, which he barely dodges, and tries to calm him down. But Jung was not listening to anything he had to say. The guy grabs the bat and reveals he is Detective Jo Ying-sung from West District Police. He asks him to come with him for a chat. He was shocked to see a detective at his doorstep. Not only him, but Yoon, who came there to see him, was also shocked. She wondered what that idiot did now for the detective to get involved. At the police station, his PTSD from his past life started acting up, making him anxious even after his reincarnation. We come to know that it was his father who asked Detective Jo to look into it. He had informed the detective about the Sampo gang chasing after him. Jung was angry at his father for doing something so unnecessary, but still, he was relieved that he at least believed him. The detective asked him to tell him how he got involved with the Sampo gang. As he is about to tell the whole story, another thug hits him from behind, making fun of him for being at the police station at such a young age. He also says that he is already what he was gonna grow up to be, which pisses off Jung. He punched him straight in the face, knocking him over in a single strike. He was already furious, and the guy made it even harder for him to control himself. As he was about to hit him again, Detective Jo told him to stop, snapping him back to his senses. He got riled up without realizing. They go outside to calm down his nerves. Jung still couldn't get rid of the thoughts of what happened that day. He realized that he was wasting time there and decided to leave. When Detective Jo asks what he is gonna do about the Sampo gang, Jung lies to him, saying his father was overreacting just because he got into some random fight. Jung didn't think much of the cops. He thinks that police grunts like them had no chance against the Sampo gang, and that he shouldn't trust him and solve this on his own. The detective reveals that Junsu said otherwise. He had revealed everything. How Jung Seok was the #1 in Sampo High, met with Tiger Skull Gang Sunju multiple times, ran into Sampo gang members yesterday, and his classmate, Jung-soo, was hospitalized for 2 weeks. This revelation annoyed Jung. Detective Jo suggests they need to have a serious talk. Inside the police station, the detective reveals all the information he got while looking into him. He again asks Jung to tell him what happened the day before, but Jung was still adamant about not revealing anything and asked for physical proof from the detective. The detective knew there was something more about him than just an average high schooler. No matter how tough one may be, no normal high schooler can put up this kind of act in a police station, in front of a detective. Not to mention the incredible strength he showcased earlier, and multiple visits to the Tiger Skull Gang's lieutenant. And now he was being chased by the Sampo gang. The detective also wondered if he was the secret successor of the Tiger Skull Gang, but that also didn't seem right to him. But one thing was for sure, that he was hiding something from him. Detective Jo inquires if the Sampo gang is threatening him. Jun was taken aback when the detective caught on to exactly what was going on. He got up in frustration and told him to stop spouting nonsense. The detective tries to help him, but Jun doesn't trust them. As he was leaving, a voice called out to him, asking him if he was running away. Jun was stunned to see the angel all of a sudden. The angel expresses his disappointment in him and reminds him of the oath he took to fix his past mistakes. Jun Seok lashed out at the angel itself, saying how he tried his best not to get involved with them, but he ended up in this situation anyway. The angel blames him for it and asks him if he really acted kindly and morally sound the whole time. Jung looks back at what he'd been doing all this time and asks Angel what he should do. All he was good at was fighting and swearing and yelling at everyone, and that he tried his hardest not to become a gang member. He blames the Sampo gang for disrupting his peaceful life. The angel understands his frustration and doesn't preach to him about how he should live his life, but he does give him a piece of advice: not to reject the people who were trying to help him. People like Detective Joe, to which Jung replies that he was just using him to look good in front of his superiors. The angel reminded him of the time when the detective risked his life to save him. Jung didn't get what he was talking about and looked at the name tag of the detective again. In his past life, we see that Jung was running from someone. It was Detective Joe himself. While running, Jung sprained his leg and fell on the road. He tries to fight back, but the detective grabs him in an arm lock. The detective asks him if he isn't ashamed to face his deceased father, how his father was worried about him until the day he deceased. But instead of respecting his last with, he was already going back to gang activities right after leaving prison. Jung was taken aback and asked him how he knew his father. Just then, they see a truck coming their way. Detective Joe tried to get him off the road, but due to a sprained leg, he couldn't move. In this intense situation, Detective Joe pushed to the side but couldn't save himself. The last person to care about him was also gone. With that, he snapped back to reality, and the angel was gone. Detective Joe asked why he had that expression, and told him to go quietly and come back when he changed his mind. Jung remembered about the incident now, and that it was him who saved his life in his past life. Much to the detective's surprise, Jung is ready to talk about Sampo gang and the Tiger Skull gang and asks for his help. Outside the police station, we see Yoon waiting for Jung. When the guard asks her if she needs anything, she starts fumbling her words. She was angry at Jung for lecturing her when he got himself into something bad to the point he had to visit the police station. Inside the police station, Jun ended up telling him everything, his connection with the Tiger Skull gang, and how he ended up in that situation. He left out the angel part. Otherwise, he'd be taken to a mental asylum instead. Although he didn't provide any tangible evidence, this was enough to look into Sampo's gang. Jung asked if he could get witness protection or something like that. The detective wasn't sure about that, but he did promise to increase the security in that area. Detective Joe thanked him for opening up to him. Jung remembers what he had done for him in his past life and thanks him internally. When he gets outside, he sees Yoon there and asks her if she got into some kind of trouble again, to which she replies in anger that it was her line. She made an excuse saying she was just passing by and saw him getting dragged to the police station, so she just followed him out of curiosity. Jun didn't know what lies he should tell her now, but the detective comes to save him, saying he just needed some information from him, that's all. He also told her to not worry and to eat the meal. Yoon got flustered. Jun also notices the bad and inquires about it, but she tells him that he doesn't need to know. While going back to Jung's house, Jun asked her what she needed from his house. She told him that he didn't come to school, so she was worried that he might be sick, and he had come to her house when she was sick, so wanted to check up on him as well. Jung wondered if he was hallucinating. He almost saw Yoon the delinquent as cute. Jung mentioned how she and Sim Jae-hee were getting along and asked her if she apologized to her properly. Even though Jae-hee had forgiven her, she still didn't feel like she deserved to be forgiven. The things she had done to her were horrible. Jung also gets a flashback of the horrible things he had done to Jae-hee in his past life, so he understands how she feels. Even though he got reincarnated, the fact that he had committed them remained. He also recalls what the angel had told him. No matter what he does in this life, his soul couldn't be saved. They arrive at Jong's house. He went ahead and told her to be safe on her way home, but she stayed and asked him if he had eaten anything, and that they should eat together. She cooked a meal for him while Jung wondered what kind of situation he was in. The delinquent Yoon was cooking a meal for him at his house. Not that he was complaining. And just like that, the meal was ready. She thought he was sick. All she brought was vegetables, which Jung whines about. But even though it was just a porridge vegetable, it was surprisingly good. Yoon pretends to not get happy after hearing that, saying it was just a piece of cake for him. Jung didn't get it at first, but he had enough experience with the girls his age to know that she was head over heels for him. After they were done eating and Yoon was about to clean the plates, Jun grabbed her hand and told her she looked cute today. As he approaches for a kiss, Yoon closes her eyes, but he smirks and gives a flick on her head, asking her what was her angel and why she was acting like Sim Jae-hee. She lashes out at him, saying she wouldn't have fallen for him if he hadn't made that expression earlier. She'd never seen him make that expression before. Jun Seok starts laughing loudly, thinking how he hit rock bottom, to the point that a delinquent like her was also worried about him. He gives her a pat on her head, acknowledging he felt better after that. While taking a work, June told her everything that was going on with him and the Sampo gang. He said how he got caught up with them again, which made her ask him if he was acquainted with them, to which he answers that it was something like that, not mentioning he used to be the head of the Sampo gang. She deduces that that's the reason he was acting weird lately. She was not completely wrong. June asks her if he has changed. She replies that he has changed. She never imagined he'd say something like that if he hadn't changed. She was talking about the time he saved her and that time he put her in her place. June also acknowledges that he has changed very much in the past month. He calls himself handsome, but Yoon laughs at him for pronouncing it wrong. June now wasn't going to wallow in regrets and work hard to be a good person again. She mentions how both he and her had changed, and proceeds to kiss him out of nowhere. June was caught off guard. She says that it was revenge for messing with her earlier. Before June could say anything, she ran away to her home. After running for a while, she stops and realizes what she has done and how she is gonna face him tomorrow. She had never thought she'd fall for a guy like him.